Hi, I'm Darina Allen from Ballymaloe Cookery School in Shanagary, County Cork. Now, don't we all love to gather during the holiday season to cook and eat and celebrate together? But this year is going to be a very different Christmas for so many of you around the world. The Department of Foreign Affairs here in Ireland has created a wonderful initiative. It's called To Be Irish at Christmas. As a part of this, I would really love to invite all of you to cook along with me today. It's too late to make a plum pudding now, but what could be more delicious and reminiscent of home than a loaf of Irish soda bread? It's so quick and easy to make, the way to everyone's heart, a little Irish hug from me to you. So let's get started, and happy holidays to all of you. So a loaf of Irish soda bread. It's fantastic to be able to make a loaf of bread, and these soda breads, which are the breads of our country, are so quick and easy to make. Literally, you make them in minutes, and you can either make a loaf of bread or you can cut it into little scones as well. So the first thing to do before you start to collect your ingredients is to turn on the oven to make sure the oven is fully preheated. This one's already on, and turn it on to 230 centigrade or 450 Fahrenheit. Collect up your ingredients and then it'll be nice and hot when you're ready to put the loaf in. So here I have 450 grams or a pound of plain white flour, all-purpose flour, and into that I'm going to put a level teaspoon of salt. If it's an American measurement, so it'll be a half teaspoon of salt. And the raising agent in soda bread is bicarbonate of soda, or what we call here in Ireland bread soda. It's very important to measure it accurately, so that's a teaspoon. I'm leveling it off there. And now this can be quite lumpy. You could, if you wanted, to put it into a sieve and sieve it in to get the lumps out, or otherwise you could do what our mothers and grandmothers did forever and ever, is to rub out the lumps like that in the palm of your hand and sprinkle that in. Also, it's really good to choose a nice wide bowl so that you feel comfortable when you're mixing it. So this is a soft flour, or what you might call all-purpose flour. In Ireland, the kind of wheats that we can grow are low gluten, and they're perfect for soda bread, not suitable for yeast bread. So now, run your fingers through like that just to make sure the salt and bicarbonate of soda is well mixed through, and then just take some buttermilk. Now, buttermilk look, this is lovely Jersey buttermilk from the farm here, and I want about 14 fluid ounces. Look how lovely and thick and gloopy that is. Now, the white soda bread will take anything from between 12 and 14 fluid ounces of buttermilk, depending on how thick or how thin it is. So just now make a well in the center like that, and then just pour in pretty much all of the buttermilk in one go. Look, like that. I'll keep a tiny little bit just in case. And then hold the side of the bowl, and then make your hand into a claw like that. And then stir in a full circular movement from the center to the outside of the bowl. So in there, take off your rings, just stir like that in a full circular movement from the center to the outside of the bowl. I'm going to get that last little bit in as well. Now, all the time a full circle, and just by the time you get to the outside of the bowl, the bread is made. Look at how quick and easy that is. So now, take some flour, sprinkle it generously on the worktop like that, and then just sprinkle a little bit in there. Just gather it up easily like that. And then take a little flour, get the last off your fingers. Now, if there's a child around anywhere, make sure that you bring the child into the kitchen and show them how to make a loaf of soda bread as well. Because I learned how to make this from my mother when I was a little one. So at this stage, then your hands will be sort of sticky. So wash off the dough off your hands. My mother made bread every day of her life pretty much. And she used to give me a little bit of the dough, and I would sort of make that into what we called a little quiche din, a little small tiny loaf of soda bread, and I baked that beside hers in the old stove in the kitchen. Now take a little more flour on your hands like that, and then very important not to knead it. So you just kind of tidy it up around the edges like that. Tidy it up, and then flip it over like that, and then tuck it in with your hands at that sort of angle, but tuck it in underneath, and then you bring it up into a nice little round. Take a bit of the flour, sprinkle it over the top, and then press it out. Now, so gather up some of the flour from the worktop and sprinkle that underneath. Then lift this up. Look, you see the texture of it. You see how lovely and soft it is. So just like that, keep it about 1.5 inches thick, and then just cut it. Cut a nice deep cross on it like this. Now this is the traditional blessing, so open that out like that. Now even though we call this the blessing, it's also got a practical reason, because in the last place for it to cook will be in the center. When you cut across like that, it opens out in the center. Now the other really important thing is to let the fairies out of the bread. So you just prick it in the 4 corners like that, and that lets the fairies out of the bread. Now it's really important in Ireland to placate the fairies, because they're always up to mischief and they're blamed for anything that goes wrong. So if you let the fairies out of the bread, if you're pure of heart, or if you had a good night last night, you might have seen them escaping there. And then straight into the oven. And you see, that's very important, because the bicarbonate of soda is an alkali, the sour milk is acid, and there's a reaction there. When they come together, they create little bubbles of carbon dioxide, they expand in the heat of the oven and rise the bread. Now here's another lovely loaf I made earlier, and you can see the cross in it, it's opened out, it's traditional shape. And now if you're in doubt as to whether it's actually cooked or not, just pick it up and tap it like that. It should sound hollow underneath. About 30-35 minutes in the oven, and then cool it on a wire rack so the air circulates all around it, and it gets nice and crispy on the bottom as well. It's made in minutes, and I could have flattened that out and made it into scones and dipped the tops in cheddar cheese, and how delicious that would be. And soda bread is best eaten on the day it's made, slathered with good Irish butter.